So it's 3 a.m. I'm sitting in the dark, staring at the ceiling, asking God if I'm making the biggest mistake of my life. I spent 10 years building a name in a room where that actually means something, where I could probably raise money on reputation alone, where the path is known, fundable, and safe. And I'm about to walk away from all of it. Not because I have a better plan, not because I figured out the next 10 years, but because every time I ask God what he wants me to do with what he gave me, he gives me these two words: keep going. Most of us are calling the safe, comfortable job good stewardship, but I think a lot of us are doing exactly what the servant in Matthew 25 did, burying the talent and calling it wisdom when God calls it fear. I haven't fully walked away from my job yet. I'm still a VP during the day, but building at night. But here's what saying yes to God has really cost me. Here's the part nobody sees. The cost for me was never really the money. It's that I'm walking into a market where my name means nothing. For 10 years, I've been in prop tech. I'm known there. A decade of relationships with people connected to billion-dollar companies, actually some multi-billion-dollar companies. If I wanted to, I could probably raise a seed round on my reputation alone. Church tech, I'm nobody in church tech. I have no reputation, no network, no warm intros. I'm starting from zero in a market that I'm still learning. And everyone, they give me the same advice. Bro, what are you doing? You've been in the market for over 10 years. You're known there. You're a VP at one of the most disruptive companies in the space. Why would you walk away from that to start over somewhere where no one's ever heard of you? Go where you're known. Go where you can move money the fastest. That's the smart play, the fundable play, the comfortable play. It's sitting right there, and I'm walking past it on purpose. And I have to be honest with you. Walking past the safe, fundable, known thing doesn't feel brave in the moment. I feel insane. Feels like I'm throwing away the one thing I spent 10 years building and a name that opens doors. But that's exactly when the question started haunting me, because building that name is a thing I was proud of. And I'm starting to think it might be the thing God is asking me to lay down, which is myself. And when I finally figured out he'd asked me to lay it down, that's the part that wrecked me, because it wasn't really about prop tech or church tech or money at all. So here's the thing. I realized I'd done exactly what the servant in Matthew 25 did. I took a gift from God, buried it somewhere else, and I called it stewardship. So you know the story. A master gives 3 servants money before he leaves. 2 of them put it to work and double it. But the third one, what does he do? He's scared, so he digs a hole and hides it in the ground to keep it safe. When the master comes back, he doesn't praise the careful one. He calls him wicked and lazy. Here's the part that wrecked me. The servant wasn't reckless. He wasn't a thief. He played it safe. And playing it safe was the exact same thing he got judged for. His own reason was, I was afraid. And I had to sit with that, because the talent was never the servant's to protect. It was the master's. Bearing it to keep it safe was just a polite way of saying, I'd rather protect it than risk it for the one who gave it to me. So let me ask you a question that I had to ask myself. That comfortable job, that safe, known, fundable path, the one everyone calls responsible, is it stewardship? Or is it a hole in the ground with a gift in it? Because they both can look identical from the outside. The only difference is the question that lives underneath. Am I using the talent for what the owner gave this to me for? Or am I keeping it safe for me and calling that faithfulness? That's when it hit me. The comfortable job isn't safe. It might be the most expensive thing you can own, because the one thing it can cost you is the exact thing that God built you to do. Christians, we call it stewardship. I'm starting to think God might call it fear. But here's where it gets complicated, because the second I decided to actually dig my talent up and put it to work, I ran straight into a wall I never saw coming. And it came from the very people I was trying to serve, the church. So I did it. I dug up the talent and I said yes. I took everything I've been working on and started serving the church. But almost immediately I hit a wall I didn't expect. So I have to be very careful how I say this, because I love the church. I'm in it. This isn't me standing from the outside throwing rocks. This is me sitting in the family room talking about something that hurts. So here's the thing. Church is run on donations. Everything is given. And over time, that quietly trained us to believe that everything in the church should be free, including the tools that we use, including tech. And honestly, sometimes I have the same instinct. I catch myself flinching at the idea of asking God's people to pay for something, so I'm not pointing at anyone. I'm also pointing at myself. But here's the cost of that instinct. When nobody is willing to pay for excellence never gets built. That's why so much of church tech is clunky, ugly, and painful to use. It's not that Christians can't build beautiful things. We invented a lot of this. It's that we decided that the kingdom deserves the cheapest version of everything, and we've called that humility. So we've handed God's people the worst designed tools in the world, and we told ourselves we're being faithful. And here's the part that keeps me up at night. Because really, I genuinely don't know which problem I'm looking at. Maybe the church won't value good work. Or maybe, just maybe, I haven't earned it yet. Maybe I haven't solved a big enough problem to be worth paying for. I don't get to know which one it is. I just have to keep showing up not knowing. So let me tell you where this actually leaves me. Not in some victorious place, honestly. I'm still in the air. I haven't even fully let go yet. I'm still moonlighting the old life because letting go all the way before I can see the ground is the hardest thing God has ever asked me to do. So there are nights I can't sleep, nights I just lay there and beg God for a plan, for a timeline, for a sign. Where's this going to land? And every time he just gives me these two words, keep going. There's no map. There's no landing in sight. Just keep going. Sometimes, if I'm honest with you, it doesn't even feel like I'm walking by faith. It feels like I'm falling. But I keep coming back to one verse. Hebrews 11 says Abraham went out not knowing where he was going. Read that again. Abraham, the hero of the faith, didn't get a map either. He got a direction and a voice, and he went out not knowing. Maybe the not knowing wasn't a gap in his faith. Maybe the not knowing was the faith. So that's changed how I see the falling. Maybe faithfulness was never about landing. Maybe it's just obeying while you're still in the air. Maybe the falling is the assignment. Because here's what I finally understand. The whole time I was clinging on to the safe, known thing, I told myself that I was being a good steward. But really, I was just afraid. Real stewardship was never about keeping the gift safe in the ground. It was about putting it in the air and trusting the one God who can catch it when I can't. This is where I am tonight. I'm walking away from an industry where my name actually means something into one where I'm a nobody. I dug up a talent I spent 10 years burying, and now I'm serving people who are figuring out if they want what I'm making. Shoot, I'm figuring out too. Is the problem even big enough? But God keeps just giving me two words. Keep going. I don't know where I land. I might not land for a long time, but I'm starting to think that the comfortable thing I called stewardship would have cost me the one thing I was actually made for. So let me ask you one question I can't stop asking myself. That safe, comfortable, responsible thing that you're holding on to so tightly, is that stewardship or is it fear? I don't have it figured out yet. I'm still falling, but I'd rather fall in the direction God pointed me than stand still in a place he never asked me to stay. I'm going to keep going.